It's Kelly Clarkson here to talk all things Wayfair, the best place to buy furniture, decor, and anything else you can think of to create a home you absolutely love. I know when I shop with Wayfair, I find options for every style, whether I'm feeling boho or farmhouse, modern, traditional, French country. I can find exactly what I need for my home and more. No matter your space, style, or budget, shop Wayfair.com to make your home way more you.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
This is an ad by Regain Couples Therapy and features real testimonials.
This was our first time trying therapy, and honestly, it was long overdue. Looking back, we just wish we had started sooner.
Regain's qualified therapists help couples when they can't get there on their own.
We thought it was intimacy issues, but Andrea helped us uncover a deeper root cause we hadn't even realized was there.
Visit regain.com/couplespod to get 10% off your first month. Regain, powered by BetterHelp.
Welcome to the Dogs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
Hey, what's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Dogs Podcast, presented by Manly Bands. Josh All, your host today, coming to you from the Outer Banks in North Carolina. Yep, we're on family vacation, having a great week here at the beach with the family, which is why this is also going to be the quickest preview show you've ever seen. We're all getting ready to head down to the beach here today. It's a beautiful day. It's like 80-some degrees already here in the morning. Could not be better. Obviously, Thursdays when we do the preview show, it is typically a Dog Pack Discord live. Today, however, not able to do one in the afternoon. Again, going to be at the beach, so we're doing it here this morning. Just a quick recording to get this preview episode ready for you guys. Browns, Lions, Sunday at 1 o'clock. It's going to be a big one for both teams, honestly, because, you know, when the season started, before the season started, we were really harping on the idea that the Browns might not win a game here in the first 6 weeks at least. Could be 0-6. We talked a lot about that. Week 1 comes around, should have beat the Bengals. We had them, should have beat them. Really no excuse why we didn't. And then we said, you know, if we can steal a game or two between now and that bye week coming up a little bit later in the season. Well, we did steal a game at home against the Packers. That was one that we all had chalked up as a loss, a big fat L for the Browns. So things evened out. Should have got the win on week 1, didn't. Got the win in week 3, so we kind of evened things out. We are 1-2, heading up to Detroit, to Ford Field to face the Lions, who are 2-1. And you know, we play the entire NFC North this season. We just played the Packers, so we're 1-0 against the NFC North. We got the Bears later in the season. We've got the Vikings next week in London, and this week is the Lions. So how do the Browns match up with Detroit? How could they possibly stack a second straight win? We'll talk about that. Got some voicemails to play from you guys. Before I dive into everything, make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. Tap the notification bell so you don't miss any of the new episodes we're putting out. Obviously, there will be more content like normal. This week was an off week for us because I'm the content guy and I'm not very much available this week. Head to jointhedogs.com if you want to be part of the Dog Pack, if you want to be part of those Discord shows that we do every Thursday, minus this one, of course. And, you know, if you want to get in there, that's where you play fantasy football with us each year. Obviously, this year's already up and rolling, but next year if you want to get in, and it's just an awesome place to be, 24/7 Browns conversations in there with the best diehard Browns fans you're going to find at jointhedogs.com. All right, so I think before I go into too much about this game specifically, let's hear from Stacy.
What's going on, my dogs? It's Stacy here. Just wanted to make a little comment before our upcoming game against the Lions. So I am pretty interested to see how we're going to hold back their rushing game with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, because those boys have been pretty elite these first couple weeks. And our defense obviously has been able to stop the run on some amazing running backs so far. So I'm pretty interested to see how that goes. Hopefully we follow the same trend and we don't allow them to get many yards. The other thing, speaking about the rushing game, For our rushing game, I think that Kevin needs to figure out how to use Dylan Sampson the correct way, because last week, obviously, we know he only got one touch, which I feel is ridiculous after the Bengals game and the show that he put on that game. I think that Kevin needs to learn how to use him better out of the backfield. Obviously, he's not a through the tackles kind of runner. He's definitely more of an outside receiving back, and I think we just need to utilize him a little bit better. So hopefully, as these games go on, he kind of starts to figure out how to use him and Judkins together. All right, boys, let's win this one. Woo!
Yeah, so Stacey, you make a very good point there. The Lions are, excuse me, quite honestly, maybe the best offense in the NFL. And the Browns obviously have the best defense right now in the NFL. So it's really number one defense against the number one offense for all intents and purposes. Let's just call it that and realize that something has to give here. On either side, like either the Lions offense is going to break through and be able to score and win the game against the Browns defense, or the Browns defense is going to shut down and hold down the Lions offense. But you're not going to be able to have too much of both because, again, it's number one against number one. They are very much predicated on their rushing attack, which they have been extremely good at for years now. David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, or Gibbs and Montgomery, your Sonic and Knuckles type duo. Now, Gibbs is more of your smaller back. He's a receiving weapon. He is a fast player, and he can score a ton of touchdowns. And then you've got David Montgomery, who's more of your thumper, more of your early down, let's wear down the defense type of back. And, you know, last week against the Ravens on Monday night, 12 carries, 151 yards, 2 touchdowns for David Montgomery, just went nuts against the Ravens. And the thing that I've been looking at, using the Ravens almost as that litmus test for a lot of things here, because we played the Ravens in week 2, and we've watched the Ravens, I believe it was primetime both games, week 1 against the Bills and week 3 here against the Lions. And in those 2 games, they gave up 41 points to the Bills and 38 points to the Lions. Now, I'm not saying that the Browns offense by any stretch of the imagination is either of those teams, but let's go back to when we played the Ravens. We talked about in that preview show how, look, they just gave it up to the Bills. They can give it up through the air. Josh Allen just going nuts. They gave up a ton of rushing yards to James Cook on the ground. They gave up a ton of rushing yards to the Lions on the ground. And the Browns went into Baltimore against that same defense and was not able to do anything. They put up 3 legitimate points. If you remember, the touchdown throw from Joe Flacco was actually a clearly dropped interception that just wound up falling into the hands of Cedric Tillman in the corner of the end zone. And then the last late touchdown was Dylan Gabriel in garbage time against a bunch of Ravens backups when they were just trying to end the game and get out of there without any more injuries or anything. So 3 legitimate points is all the Browns were able to muster against the Ravens, who gave up 41 and 38. It's very, very worrisome for the Browns because going back to this defense, elite defense. They are playing unlike anything. We saw some of this in 2023. They were an elite defense primarily at home. On the road was a different story. This year so far through 3 games, it is lock down elite defense, especially against the running game. They're allowing just 57.3 rushing yards a game, and that's coming against Chase Brown, Derrick Henry, and Josh Jacobs. Derrick Henry was the number 2 leading rusher in the NFL last year. Josh Jacobs was number 6 in the NFL. These guys, and these are 2 teams that rely heavily on those running backs to get them yards on the ground, and the Browns shut them down. Just absolutely shut down 2 of the best running backs in the NFL. And now we get to go into Detroit and face 2 more of the better running backs in the end. Jahmyr Gibbs being one of the top young running backs in the league, and obviously David Montgomery is a way more than capable running back, especially paired with Jahmyr Gibbs. So we'll see if the Browns defense, especially the rushing defense, can continue to clamp down on the running attack and limit what the Lions can do on the ground. Now, the passing is where things are a little this is where things get a little hairy for the Browns, because I do think that defensively we can shut down the run pretty well. We also have shut down the pass pretty well. We've limited Joe Burrow. We didn't really limit Lamar. We limited what Lamar Jackson did on the ground. Through the air, during the course of that Ravens game, he was just finally able to start finding some weaknesses in the secondary and pick us apart. He ended up having 4 touchdowns. We really shut down Jordan Love last week. So the big X factor for me in this game is going to be Jared Goff, the Lions quarterback, because if we're able to shut down the run game, are we able to get the pressure on Goff to make him make mistakes? And I think I got a voicemail here. Let me pull it up. Kenny Mack, I believe, was talking about that.
You guys, man, did I ever need that win? And reality really sets in fast. I mean, we watched the Lions on Monday night, and they did a great job against the Ravens. And, I think I felt good for about 12 hours. And then I come to reality where it's like, man, can this defense hold the Lions to like 10 points? Can we somehow figure out more than 13? I mean, I don't think this will happen next week. Sonk and Knuckles, the Lions running backs, they went for 234 all combined yards. I mean, they had 7 sacks. They only have 11 on the season, so I'm not sure that'll happen again. We got to shut down their DN somehow, but we do know this. They will go for it on 4th down, so it's going to be a full day. What makes me feel better is the number 1 defense in the league for total yards, rushing yards allowed, and that's big because Derrick Henry, Chase Brown, and Josh Jacobs, they aren't slouches, man. Those guys can ball, and we held them in check. Passing yards were 4th, sacks 2nd, rushing TD 2nd, quarterback pressure 2nd. I can go on in the list. And man, Judd the stud, he is a king. Let's see what he can do. I got to find out and see what's more. I'll give him a call back, but let's go Browns. All
right, I think the Jared Goff stuff was in his second voicemail, which I'll get to here in a second. But what he was talking about there, too, with the running game, talking about Judd the stud, I mean, Quinshon Judkins has really shown what the Browns have been missing at the running back position, the way he's able to make cuts, make guys miss, pick up extra yards, especially with an offensive line that now we are breaking news. I guess we didn't even talk about this at the top of the show. DeJuan Jones, knee injury, suffered early. I think it was the first drive of the Packers game. Defender came in low, hit him in the knee. 3rd straight year, DeJuan Jones is now out for the season-ending injury, another knee injury. He's going to have surgery, and he's out for the season. And here we go again. We had Jack Conklin questionable for the game on Sunday. So the Browns are doing the same thing we've done the last 2 seasons in a row now, just rotating offensive linemen because we have no solid answers at any really of these positions. They're all getting old. They're all getting injured. Joel Bitonio's hurt. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. So it's going to be KT Leviston and Cornelius Lucas. And then if either of those guys get hurt, I don't even know who else we have on this team as for tackle. I know we just signed another tackle. I don't have the information pulled up in front of me. Practice squad guy, I'm sure he'll be elevated for the game because I'm sure Conklin won't play again. It's a mess. So expecting a lot out of the Browns offense and the running game, we still shouldn't. Really, I mean, anything extra that we get, we should just be very thankful for because we're still not creating great running lanes. We're still not blocking. We're still not getting a lot of strong push up front. This just is not the attacking, mauling offensive line that we saw, 3-4 years ago. And it makes sense because they're old and they're all the same guys as back then. It's just now they're a lot older and they're hurt and they're slower and it's just not working. But Quinshon Judkins is able to take advantage of a little. If you just give him a little bit, he can make a little bit more with the potential to really break a run at any given time. And that's something we just haven't had. We didn't have it with Jerome Ford. Talked about it last week. 0 carries for Jerome Ford. That was a great thing to see because he should not be getting carries, especially with a healthy, up to speed, ready to go Quinshon Judkins. But going back also now to Stacy's voicemail that I wanted to get to, a point that she made. Why are we not using Dylan Sampson more? We saw the Browns really, really use him in the passing game, get him involved, let him use his playmaking ability in space against the Bengals in week 1. And then week 2 wasn't very much against the Ravens. And last week, 1 touch. That's, with Kevin Stefanski, this is something that has been kind of a theme with him for years now is he doesn't, it seems like, I guess I can't say this as if it's a sure thing, but it seems like there are certain players that he does not really know how to, appropriately incorporate into the game plan on a weekly basis. And I hope that changes. I hope that's just a factor of having a new player. You know, Samson's just a rookie, so we're trying to slowly figure out what can he do. He's got to get up to speed on pass pro, things like that to really be on the field. But we need him. We need his playmaking ability as part of the game plan. Without it, it's really hard to have optimism about this Browns offense that, quite frankly, struggles to score 10 points a game. I know we're averaging 15.3, I believe, on the season so far, but that's really inflated by those 2 fluky touchdowns against the Ravens. Really, that should have been a 3-point game. Last week was a 0-point game. The Browns offense was shut out at home by the Green Bay Packers, if not for a Grant Delpit. Well, I guess, no, I'm not sorry. Not a shutout. 3 points. We did get the field goal or before that. But if it was not for the Grant Delpit interception, taking it clear down to wherever he took it, the 3-4 yard line, we don't score a touchdown last week. I really believe that if the Packers just hadn't screwed up, and I'm not trying to take anything away from the Browns winning that game, you have to take advantage when the other team messes up. Typically, that's what other teams do to us. Last week, we did it to them. But all the Packers had to do was not give the ball back to the Browns, especially at like the 4-yard line, and they win that game. Jordan Love throws the interception. Grant Delpit takes it back, and all of a sudden, the game is completely changed. And again, the Packers got the ball back. Boom, boom, boom. I think, 3 plays and a penalty straight down the field into field goal range. Should have had the kick to win the game, and instead we were able to block it. So the Browns went out and took that game away from the Packers. They gave it to us and we took it. And that's what you have to do in the NFL. You got to win the close games. But I'm just saying, we are not a team that can make mistakes. We are not a team that has any, margin for error. We can't throw an interception. We can't fumble. We can't have a blocked punt. We can't have things like that happen to us because we don't have the offensive firepower to overcome it. So what I'm getting at here with the Lions game, I'm very excited coming off the win against the Packers. We've seen it 3 weeks in a row now. If this Browns defense is going to keep us in every single game we play, as long as they're healthy and playing at this level, we have a chance to win every game, but we have got to play freaking mistake free in the other 2 phases, and that's offense and special teams. And this is not a team going back, 3 seasons now, that I have any confidence in them not making mistakes on offense and special teams. The special teams last week did a great job. They did some awesome things, obviously blocking the kick and all that kind of making their kicks, and it was great. We've also seen the special teams, and it's not just a Bubba Ventrone thing. I mean, it was Mike Prefer too. Like, the special teams just is not always that consistently great for the Browns. It's very, very easy for me to envision us letting them break off a long punt return or, letting them block a kick of ours or something like that. And then on offense, it's very easy for me to picture us throwing an interception because Joe Flacco, 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions already through 3 games. He's got the lost fumble that was returned for a touchdown. Are we going to turn the ball over on offense? Well, yeah. If the over-under was at 0.5, I would take the over because we haven't had a turnover-free game in a while. And I know, Blake will say, and I don't disagree, that the arm punt last week from Joe Flacco before the end of the first half doesn't really count as a turnover. But at the same time, it's still Joe Flacco. He has never played a game in Cleveland without throwing at least 1 interception. So it's really, really hard to envision it happening on the road in Detroit. And Detroit, I don't think their defense is what the Browns is, but it's not bad. It's not a bad defense. And, we played the Bengals week 1, and they don't have a great defense whatsoever. And, they pretty much controlled our offense like it was no problem. So very much concerned about the Browns offensively.
It's Kelly Clarkson here to talk all things Wayfair, the best place to buy furniture, decor, and anything else you can think of to create a home you absolutely love. I know when I shop with Wayfair, I find options for every style, whether I'm feeling boho or farmhouse, modern, traditional, French country. I can find exactly what I need for my home and more. No matter your space, style, or budget, shop Wayfair.com to make your home way more you.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
This is an ad by Regain Couples Therapy and features real testimonials.
This was our first time trying therapy, and honestly, it was long overdue. Looking back, we just wish we had started sooner.
Regain's qualified therapists help couples when they can't get there on their own.
We thought it was intimacy issues, but Andrea helped us uncover a deeper root cause we hadn't even realized was there.
Visit regain.com/couplespod to get 10% off your first month. Regain, powered by BetterHelp.
Shopify is a global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business and sell more with less effort thanks to the Shopify Magic, your AI-powered all-star. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/redcircle, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/redcircle now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/redcircle.
This episode is sponsored by Manly Bands. Browns fans, it's time to kick off the NFL season, and it's also time for you to kick off your wedding band game. Head to manlybands.com right now for their fall wedding sale. Get 30% off site-wide, plus use promo code CAMP25, CAMP25, to get an extra $25 off your order. Manly Bands has the most unique, handcrafted wedding bands for men, and they've got a huge selection, so many different styles, materials, and collections to choose from. Plus, they've got manly gifts for any situation you need, whether you're getting married and you need groomsmen gifts. They've got barware, they've got chains, bracelets, they've got gifts for retirement, and they've got your everyday stuff like lighters and coffee mugs. They've even got ear pods and some pretty cool t-shirts as well. So dive into football season this fall. Head to manlybands.com, 30% off with the fall wedding sale, and get an extra $25 off your order with promo code CAMP25. That's manlybands.com/dogs. And then for the Lions, what's a little bit concerning, obviously, is the playmakers that they have on offense. You know, the Browns, on our offense, we have nobody even remotely close to an Amon-Ra St. Brown. They're not number one receiver. We don't really have anybody. We have nobody explosive or a playmaking threat like Jamison Williams. We really don't even have a reliable young guy. I would, like Isaac Tesla for them, who seems to be really starting to, he did a lot during the preseason. I think he's a guy they really like. And I think by the end of this year, he's going to be a very reliable option for them in the offense. They've got their two stud running backs. And I haven't even mentioned Sam Laporta, their young stud tight end yet. So on offense, they have weapons. They have so many weapons. And, the Browns have not faced a team, an offense like this yet. Obviously, yes, the Bengals have a lot of weapons, but their offensive line is booty juice, and we just own them every time we play them. Joe Burrow never has time to throw. And that was week one. They will start out slow anyway. So it was really easy to see us clamping down on Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and limiting Joe Burrow and all that stuff, just like we did. Now, the Ravens in week two, heck, we let Devontae Walker, who? I don't even know. Devontae Walker go all nuts on us and score a touchdown and beat our secondary. So it can happen. And then, last week against the Packers, they don't really have an elite option at receiver, a go-to guy that can just make plays when you're hurting on offense or when you just need a big play. Just throw it to this guy and something good's going to happen. They don't really have that. And we were able to take advantage of that weakness for their offense and shut them down. The Lions' offense is a completely different animal. Like I said, Amon-Ra, Jamison Williams. They've got the two running backs, Sam Laporta. They've got, I think it's Khalif Raymond and Isaac Tesla. They've got guys. They've got weapons. And Jared Goff is a great quarterback. He's, I forget what he is, top five somewhere in the top five. He's got 790 passing yards and 7 touchdowns, only 1 interception thrown on the season so far. And again, he is a quarterback that he's not mobile. He's not a mobile guy. He's going to be in the pocket, and that's where he's going to play from. So if you're able to collapse the pocket, get the pressure on him, you will be able to get home, get some sacks, force maybe some bad throws. But then the problem on the other side is the Browns just got their first turnover on defense in I forget how many games since like November of last year. We just are not very good. We're obviously not consistent at creating takeaways on the defensive side of the ball. Maybe we can get 1 this game or 2 even. That would be great. That would help. That would go a long way in the Browns' chances of winning this game. But overall, The Lions offensive line is the best one we're going to face, so it's going to be a true test for this defensive line. This is not the Bengals O-line, guys. The Lions have a very good line. I know there's some injuries in there, but it doesn't matter. They're well coached, and they've been doing this for years in and years out. So 2-1 Lions, 1-2 Browns, Week 4 matchup up in Detroit, AFC, NFC North battle. It's, we always talk about the Lions kind of being the Browns of the NFC, except for these past, 4 or 5 years now, they've actually been consistently good. Browns have not, obviously, and it'll be a fun game. I think it's going to be another slow burn, especially maybe in the first half. I think that, like I said, as long as the Browns defense is playing like this at this level and they're healthy, that's how these games are going to go. They're going to go quick. There's going to be a lot of running clock because teams are going to, run the ball. It's not going to go very far. They're going to throw short pass. It's not going to go very far. We're going to be punting back and forth. Our defense will keep us in this game to a point. But I don't think that there's any world in which the Browns offense can, even going against our own defense, I don't think our offense can compete with what the Lions will be able to do over the course of 60 minutes. I think they're better than the Packers, definitely offensively. The Packers still have a better defense, but again, Bengals defense isn't all that great, and we couldn't do anything against them. I'm not confident whatsoever in the Browns offense. If you guys have different opinions and a different take on things, if you think that the Quinshon Judkins running game is going to continue to spark some things and get us going and get us in better scoring positions, I can see that happening. It's just so hard for me with Joe Flacco at quarterback and what he has shown through 3 weeks to think that this offense is going to score more than 10 points in this game. I could be wrong. Maybe we pull out another crazy win. I mean, it's the NFL. Anything is possible. If I'm betting, I'm not betting on the Browns with this offense right now. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, let's get this last voicemail in here from Kenny Mack.
You guys, I've been doing my research, and while the Lions look like they're off to a high-flying start at 34 points a game and 90 in the last 2 games, that's a wild stat, but it overshadows their leaky defense. It's giving up 26 points a game. This firm may be the Browns could strike and gut some more offense. Passing defense, they're letting opponents hit 70% of their passes. They've given up 7 passing touchdowns already, and quarterbacks are looking like MVPs with 119 rating. If you take a look at the run defense, a little leaky there, steady chunks at 4.2 yards per carry. Situationally, the opponents are converting 50% of their third downs. It's 30th in the league. Special teams, they haven't had much there. 4 or 6 off kicks. Let's hold them to field goals. Overall, they've got some injuries. Taylor Decker's a big one. Our defensive line might be able to feast, but let's take a look at how the blueprint is to win. So, pound the rock. That's the biggest thing we have to do. Play action off that and win the third downs. Punch it in when you're in the red zone, no field goals. But the biggest thing is, I think Goff had a game rate of 5 interceptions and he was pressured. Let's rattle him with that awesome defense of ours and keep those guys just kicking. So, while the Lions might look like a juggernaut, if we can do some of the same stuff last week, we can do it.
Yeah, so I was just going back and looking at who the Packers had played and the results of those games. So week 1, they lost to Green Bay. In Green Bay, 27-13. Again, that Packers defense is legit. It really is, and it really shut down the Lions offense that week. So that's where it's like the blueprint is there for the Packers or the Lions offense to be shut down. The Packers did it week 1. The Browns could very easily do it this week. The problem is, what are we able to do on offense to complement what the defense is doing on the other side of the ball? Chicago week 2, the Lions offense dropped 52 points. I don't care how bad your defense is, 52 points in an NFL game. That just, you guys know, that doesn't happen very often. That's pathetic for Chicago. And then last week against Baltimore, they dropped 38 points against the defense that we were only able to muster really 3 points the entire game. That's what worries me. That's what scares me. We'll see how things go. I'm excited for more Browns football, especially with this defense. if there's a good takeaway from this season, again, I'm not going all crazy and saying, hey, let's look at the schedule 2-3 weeks down the road. Let's see, maybe we can sneak this win and that win. 1 week at a time. I want to take this thing 1 week at a time because I think that the Lions are going to be a very tough game. And I'm not predicting the Browns to win. I'll be ecstatic, obviously, if they do, just not betting on it. I think this is going to be a very tough matchup, but like I said, earlier in the show, this defense will keep us in every single game. And if we can just let or force the Lions to out-mistake us, then we have a chance. But again, the Browns on offense and special teams have to play completely mistake-free football. And we know that the Browns secondary is banged up a little bit. It's not very deep. So if Denzel Ward has to come out of the game for any stretch or Newsome has to come out of the game for any stretch, now you're talking about Cam Mitchell, Miles Harden. Jared Goff will take advantage of those matchups, whoever's on those guys. And we've already seen what the Ravens were able to do to that secondary. The Browns held the Ravens in check for the majority of that game, but it just took a couple big plays through the Browns' weak depth secondary to score points and get well enough ahead that there was no chance the Browns ever had of winning that game in Baltimore. So I worry about that. Let's just leave it there. I worry about the Browns having to play mistake-free football and obviously not being able to do so. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to get out of here, get down to the beach, enjoy the rest of the vacation before we get home this weekend. Then I'm going to sit down on Sunday, watch this game, and see if the Browns can shock me. Let me know if they're going to shock you. Do you guys think the Browns are on a hot streak now that they've got the first win under their belt and they're riding high? Or do you feel like we're going to be coming a little bit back to earth because it is still Joe Flacco and this very not 2023 offense that we're watching right now here in 2025? So I appreciate you guys tuning in again. Sorry we weren't able to do the Dog Pack Discord live today. Just the circumstances did not allow for it. We will be back next week for the preview for the Vikings game in London. We'll do that on Thursday, 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time in the Discord, Dog Pack Discord live as regularly scheduled. And then, of course, Sunday night, we will be doing our live reaction show on Facebook, YouTube, X, everywhere for you guys after the Browns play the Lions in Detroit on Sunday. Win, lose, how do you guys think it's going to go? Let us know in the comments, and we'll talk to you guys Sunday night after the game.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dogs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at The Dogs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedogspodcast.com.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Browns fans, if you're like me, the stresses in life only increase the older you get. Your family, your job, your bank account, just a few things that drive the cycle of stress every day. And if you have people constantly depending on you, it can put a heavy weight on your mental health. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? Why does no one appreciate everything I'm trying to do for them? If these thoughts have ever darkened your day, 1, you're not alone, and 2, I highly recommend talking to someone, and that's where BetterHelp could be the right resource for you. Head to BetterHelp, HELP.com/dogs, DAWGS for 10% off your first month of talk therapy. Just fill out a simple questionnaire and BetterHelp will match you with the best therapist for your needs. And if it's not the right fit, you can switch therapists at any time for no extra cost. BetterHelp is 100% online. You can talk with your therapist on the phone, via FaceChat, or even through text message. Your therapist will listen, ask questions, and help you see things from new perspectives. So what are you waiting for? Take the first step to making positive improvements in your life. Head to BetterHelp.com/dogs now for 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/dogs for 10% off your first month.
This is an ad by Regain Couples Therapy. Let's be honest. Loving your partner doesn't mean you always like them, and guess what? That's normal. Regain, powered by BetterHelp, offers couples therapy that's flexible, affordable, and 100% online. Whether you're reconnecting or working through conflict, Regain is here to support you both. See why people wish they'd tried couples therapy sooner. Visit regain.com/couplespod to get 10% off your first month. That's regain.com/couplespod.